Kia ora, good morning. So I had a dream, but I'm not going into the dream. It's personal, but I know what it means. But I had a dream, and I've been sitting here having my breakfast and having my coffee, thinking about this dream and what I was being told in the interpretation of it. And it led me to the Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft. Now, it's going to be a Broadway style theatre production, which is fine. But I think that I want to make it into a movie first. I think I want to make it into a movie. And it's going to be our version of Harry Potter. Now, I know nothing about Harry Potter. I've never read a book. I've never seen a movie. I'm not interested in it. When Harry Potter came out, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the author or anything like that. I was embarrassed at how many adults latched onto it and became obsessed with it, including Amber, because Amber knows better. So I'm going to correct it. The reason why it always annoyed me is because it gave people the wrong impression of alchemy and magic and the craft. I don't like calling it witchcraft. I don't like calling it witchcraft. Witches, on the scale of alchemy, are down the bottom. They are a couple of leagues ahead of wizards and witch doctors and devil worshippers. Devil worshippers being the lowest in the food chain, in the alchemy food chain. You can't get lower than a devil worshipper. And then you've got witch doctor, because it's all based on energy, frequency, vibration, your ordination in terms of what you're allowed to take from the planet and the universe. And if you're taking plants and taking things from Papatūānuku, or taking a life, and plants are life, in order to perform your alchemy, the lower down the food chain you go. And witches are down there, unfortunately, but you've got dark witches, you've got light witches, you've got elemental witches. And if I was going to be called a witch, I'd be called an elemental witch. But that's what my French and German and English and Scottish and Irish ancestors were. The old wives' tale kind of women folk, the cunning men and women of Yorkshire and Lancashire and all of that. That's what they were, the ones who were hung in Salem and Edinburgh and all that. That's what they were. They were elemental witches. I'm above all that. I'm an elemental alchemist, and I can use real magic. I have real magical supernatural powers, because as an alchemist, being Persian and that, I understand the science behind energy and frequency. I'm a biorhythmic engineer. I'm a bioenergetics professor. I say bioengineering, but I know that's not what that means. But it's an easy way to condense the two classifications of science down into one. But I know that's not what it means. But anyway, Harry Potter, there were shops popping up all over the place of people selling magic, and it was basically stealing from the universe in order to feed into an accurate interpretation of alchemy and magic, which is, in simple terms, black magic. And someone of my standing, and if you consider yourself a witch, where you're Germanic and Scandinavian and, British bloodline came from, you don't dabble in the dark arts. And that includes you don't take things from the planet you don't have permission to take. So you see all these witches and all these witchcraft shops, like Chris's one on eBay, selling, herbs and oils that they don't have permission to take. You need permission to be able to use plants and flowers and spices and herbs, and it has to be permission that goes back at least 12 generations that you can prove. See, I can prove all my ancestors have permission to use the earth in order to heal. I have documented historical proof of it, going back to 630 something with Harun al-Rashid and his wife, who was and his mother and his father, and that, who were caliphs, and from Yemen and all that, who and even like my indigenous, my actual Māori tribe, Ngāti Raukawa, we're literally named after a magic plant, a magic perfumed plant, the Raukawa tree. So I have proof that I have permission to be able to pick plants and use fruit and use flowers and use herbs and spices and all of that, going back thousands of years. And if you can't do that, you're not a witch. Just because you like the idea of it doesn't give you permission to do it. And when people buy into this stuff, it's the reason why the world's in chaos it is today, because the universe is karmic. And the flow of energy that is created from the universe between the two worlds, between light and dark, between ascension and, the ascending world and the descending world, it fluctuates based on each individual on the planet and the choices and decisions we make. And if we buy into false realities, we drag our evolution down. And people like, the Salem witches and the witches that we executed in York and Edinburgh and Prague and all of that, Transylvania, all of that, all of the people all over Europe, France, Germany, that were executed for witchcraft and heresy and all of that. They didn't give up their lives for us to go backwards. These people were sacrificed so that we could get the interpretation of witchcraft right, and things like Harry Potter feed into the misinterpretation of what witchcraft is. Alchemy, magic, whatever you want to call it. And that's why I couldn't tell you a thing about Harry Potter, so I looked up the plot line to make sure that if I'm making this into a movie, it's nothing like Harry Potter, because I don't want people coming to me thinking, it's just like Harry Potter, because of how I'd started to write the storyline for the musical in my head. And it's nothing like Harry Potter, thank God. I've just looked up the storyline and it's like, what? What the hell's it? Like, what are they on about? But that's no... Amber loved Harry Potter. Amber absolutely loved Harry Potter. When she got cremated, she got her ashes put into a purple pot thing that had 9 3/4 written on it or something. She loved Harry Potter, but she should have known better, which is why I'm using her. I'm holding her up as the example, and naming the school in the movie after her. I could even turn it into a series of books if I wanted to. And what it is it's not going to be about a school where all the kids come and learn and that, like Worst Witch and Harry Potter and that, but it's going to be based on how it's supposed to be. In real life, if this was a real thing, if we were going to do this properly, if I was actually going to do it for real, it would be based on the royal bloodlines. Because every royal household has their alchemist or high priest that's built into their genetics. So this, because it's a movie that is going to teach real magic, So if you copy the stuff that is being done in these movies, in this movie, it's real. Not Alakamentus filled with dinkatankus or whatever it is. Like it's going to be, if you copy what's done in the movie, you will have real supernatural protection. You will hold real supernatural powers in your hands, which is why I've got the Alchemist Cavern. Because when I went to Stratford upon Avon and a couple of other places and I saw those Harry Potter shops, I was inspired but also terrified, thinking, oh my God, they're just letting people walk in off the street and have access to pieces of the universe that they don't have permission to have. And what if these people were devil worshippers? What if they hurt children? What if they hurt animals? What if they're thieves? What if they're liars? And you're handing them this stuff, making them believe that there's real protection. There's people out there putting real protection on it. You know, if you want this protection spell, if you want this, just say this. And it's like what people need to understand when it comes to spells and protections, right? Is that the more people use it, the less powerful it becomes. It's just like using chalk. That is why someone who is a real elemental alchemist, a sorceress, a sorcerer, they're like the highest in the food chain. They don't write anything down. They don't put all their magic in books because it's too dangerous for other people to have access to. Anything that we put out there is for it's for a quick burst, for short term. It's not the sort of thing that you're allowed to use over and over again. It's like a shooting star. You grab it in the moment and then it's gone. The power of it is gone. You can't go back to it. The power in the spell is all in the integrity of the person who writes it. So if you're low vibrational, if you disrespect your body, if you get drunk every night, if you do hardcore drugs, if you sleep around, and then you get up in the morning and write a spell and put on your X or your Instagram and that, and then you get hundreds of thousands of people liking it and reading it, your karma goes on to them. You pass your karma on to them because you become a karmic lesson for them, not to take everybody at face value, because the universe takes you on your first word. And if the universe knows, because the universe sees everything, the universe created you, if the universe knows that you're low vibrational, like say Rocio and that, and you're pretending to be have supernatural powers like Chris and all of that, and Musk and the Illuminati, all of them, the Covens, the Freemasons and that, but you have jobs or standings in the community where you're given the impression that you're a good person of moral standing, but the universe knows behind closed doors this is what you're doing to your body, your reputation, your energy field, and that you're basically living a false reality because behind closed doors you're not who you are in public, and then you go and use pagan rituals or pagan magic or spells or anything like that and then put it out to the public. The universe holds everybody who believed you responsible for the crimes that you've committed in the laws of karmic justice. And this is what people need to understand, and this is what I'm going to be teaching in this movie as well as at the school. So I'm going to do the movie first while we're building the school. But how we film the movie with the house is going to be the actual school that people will be able to train in. And in the movie, it's going to be based on you know the myth of the seven sisters, right? It's going to be like that, but it's going to be the seven bloodlines, based on the seven elemental bloodlines, and the person being chosen by their family's totem animal. You know, like in Becoming Spellbound, how it was the mother, the grandmother, the great grandmother's totem animals who bought them their little piece of jewelry that they wore as their totem amulet that got handed down to Sam, that then she puts in the box to hand to Roisin, just like that. So in the movie, Roisin would be one of the ones called up to train at the school, just like in Rise of the Dragon Queen, Anahita gets called up to go to the school. And one of her teachers is Ophelia, and I just think that kids are going to love Ophelia. I think she's going to be, just like with Captain Lucky, and with a little help from my friends, my bell spider, who's very brave. I think little kids especially are going to love Ophelia. And I wanted to do her movie, Rise of the Dragon Queen, which is the story of Princess Anahita's ascension, who, as you know, when she graduates, becomes Brahena Saithusa. I was originally going to do her like Pete's Dragon, where it's live actors but also animation as well. And then I decided to do it like Dark Crystal, but now I'm thinking maybe I should do it like Pete's Dragon and Mary Poppins. Because Lucian's Dragon's going to be like Labyrinth. And I was going to do Rise of the Dragon Queen like Dark Crystal, but now I'm thinking, because I'm thinking of Ophelia, I know that Ophelia is going to be a character that little kids are going to love. She's very funny. She's kind of got that kind of humour as is it, in Disney's Robin Hood, is it the chicken, the Scottish chicken, Maid Marian's guardian? Well, Ophelia is one of Anahita's guardians. So now I'm thinking I might do it like Mary Poppins and Pete's Dragon, where it's like humans but animated characters. So yeah, so see, it's part of the honeycomb system. It's all tied in. It's all connected. It's all tied in, and so this movie's going to be about the chosen ones, the chosen bloodlines, like the Seven Sisters, but obviously boys as well. Because one thing that people need to understand when it comes to witchcraft is that you need a balance of male and female. So when you have a coven, it can't be an all-female coven. And a coven is less than 13 people. Otherwise, it's you have councils, you have covens, and then you have cults based on the amount of people in it. So if you think you've got a coven and there's more than 13 people, that's not a coven, that's a cult. And if in that coven it's all females, that's not a coven, because you have to have the casters and the conjurers, and the men are the conjurers. You have to have the mind and the emotion, and the women are the emotion and the men are the mind. The women are the preparers, the nurturers, the men are the hunter-gatherers. They're the physical, and you need both in a coven, and this is what I'm going to teach. And if it's witchcraft as well, if you're talking specifically about witchcraft with the casters and conjurers, if they're not sorcerers and sorceresses and high priests and high priestesses and alchemists and elemental alchemists, and witchcraft specifically, the man is supposed to be taller than the woman. And you can't be overweight. Like, there's rules to it. I'm telling you, I just don't put it out there because people don't understand my world. There are people out there that desperately try to copy what I do because they think that if they copy what I do, they'll get to have the same sort of powers as me. But every elemental alchemist has a protective barrier, like an energetic force field, because we understand how energy works, you see. That's why we only eat healthy organic food. We don't put chemicals into our body. We live a pure life. We're monks. We're like supernatural monks. I am the occult version of a nun. And you have to live that life consistently. It can't be that, oh, I'm like this on social media, but behind closed doors I'm doing this, this, and this. Because the universe sees everything. And it always takes you on your first word and holds you accountable between your words and your actions, and then it decides how much karma and dharma they get. That's why I just keep getting more and more and more and more and more and more creative. Because I'm like a monk. I sit in my little monasterial flat, and I perfect my energy and I perfect my craft 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm constantly working, constantly training, because when I get to Switzerland and I get ready to put all of this out into the world, it's the universe that's going to hold me responsible for everything that all my customers and clients and students and staff engage in. I'm the one that's going to be held responsible for it because I'm the Empress. I'm the Grand Empress Fairy Godmother. Now, this is something that I need to put out as well. And this is all that's going to be put in the movie with the 7 elemental bloodlines. The Amber Wilkinson School, I'm thinking of calling it Amber Wilkinson School of Alchemy because I don't really want to dumb it down. I don't really, and she was a medical scientist as well, so like I'd be saying to her, Amber, can I please call it alchemy and not witchcraft? The Amber Wilkinson School of Alchemy, or the Amber School of Alchemy. I don't know, the Amber Wilkinson School of Alchemy, because in the movie she's the one who funds it, and technically it's her legacy that is funding these books and stories and lessons about her. But I saw a series of like a book that was being advertised on YouTube about a fairy godmother who turns a boy into a frog. That would be considered black magic. Fairy godmothers do not perform black magic. Fairy godmothers make wishes come true. They are there to bring a person of purity and innocence. They make their wishes come true. If they put a spell on someone, like turning them into a frog, that's not a fairy godmother, that's a wizard. And wizards are one of the lowest in the food chain. A fairy godmother would never in a million years use his or her magic, fairy godmother, fairy godfather, to cast a spell on someone, to cast judgment on someone. They use their magic to make wishes come true and to put protection out for the pure and innocent, but they would never, ever, ever in a million years use their magic to curse someone. If that's in a book, they're not a fairy god person, they're a wizard. And wizards are the lowest in the food chain, one of the lowest in the food chain. They're just above witch doctors. And that's what the Freemasons use. You know, grand wizards. So whenever you think of a wizard, think of the Illuminati and the Freemasons. So if you run around calling yourself Wizard, King, Pendragon, Merlin, Morgana, Flip, Flap, Floppity, you're talking about Freemasons and the Illuminati. So that's why I don't engage in Harry Potter, because it teaches everything wrong. And I can't have that, because people believe what they read, people believe what they're being told, and if they hold on to that knowledge and the belief that it's real, when they then try to perform it or hold on to that belief, it comes back as a karmic judgment on them, and then they get cursed for real. Because then it's the universe's way of saying you're old enough to know better. So every time something goes wrong in your life, every time something doesn't go in your favour, every time something bad happens, something, that causes you suffering or pain or anything like that, it's the universe's way of saying, well, you should know better. What did you do? Correct it, which is what I've just had to do. So with spells. The same with karmic lessons. If you're repeating karmic loops, you can't go back to the past. You can't go back to the spell that somebody posted a month ago, a year ago, whatever, because the power in it has already gone. The only person who holds the most power in a spell is the person who writes it. And the word spell means written formula, verbal formula. So that's why it's alchemy, because an alchemist is like a supernatural pharmacist, which is why the cunning men and women and the witches of Salem and all that, they were alchemists because they worked with herbs and flowers and plants and water, sacred water and bark and all of that, because they were supernatural pharmacists. And so the alchemist Kevin is a supernatural pharmacy, and I'll have an apothecary off my kitchen because I know what I'm doing. I have permission to do it, which is why the second people touch my products, even my son, with as much as what he was stabbing my heart that day, even he was saying, even I can't deny the magic that's in your skincare treatment. When he came to me, because of all the toxicity that he's around, his skin was covered in pussy red pimples and that were so bad they were bleeding and infecting the rest of his skin. Every day, every Monday he'd come to me, I'd use my spray. Within a couple of weeks, his face completely cleared up. Even his pockmarks had gone. And I'd use the same stuff on his father, who obviously he got his skin from his dad. But because he's around that toxicity, because he's around that, the dark arts and all that, you see, because you wear your mental health, you wear your spiritual vibration on the outside. Your spiritual health and your mental health shows on your body, which is why you'll never see an overweight witch. Because if they're a proper one, they know how to work with the elements and that. They know what to do to heal their bodies. Anything lower than an elemental witch is working in the dark arts. You've got white witch, dark witch, and elemental witches. And anything that, white witches are like, oh, and we use skulls and we put protections out and blah, blah, blah. If you're using death in any way, shape or form to write your incantations word for word, that's what incantations mean, to repeat word for word. An incantational spell is a verbal formula that is written word for word. It's expected to be repeated word for word. You can't deviate from those words. Whereas an alchemist knows that if they move things about, like in Labyrinth when he's moving those balls about with his hand, we can move and mold and shape our universe based on frequency and energy alone, without needing herbs and plants and all of that, because we've graduated to the higher frequencies, which you can only do when you're chosen to ascend. It's like if a writer or an artist is chosen to ascend, and they accept their ascension and they go through that trial by fire and they walk the Christ path, when they obtain that connection to the creative frequency or the God frequency, they write magic in their music, or magic in their art, or magic in their programming that can heal the world and inspire the next generation of magicians, of alchemists. And an alchemist is basically someone who can manipulate energy to create it and form it into anything that they want it to be. And all my videos and everything I put out is you watching me perform alchemy. I take a little seed and then I turn it into a tree that ends up bearing fruit and nuts and flowers that a tree shouldn't have, because I'm able to manipulate energy and turn one idea into like an empire all on its own. I've made sure that everything I've created, with it getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, is so that we always have ways of making money to fund the school, to look after the children without the need for outside interference. Because when I built my business model, I never ever wanted it to be where it got to the point where we had to get the government to step in and help fund us. The government will be paying us to help the children, but we're going to have scholarships as well. We're going to have Amber Wilkinson scholarships. We're going to have scholarships. The Kids Helping Kids Foundation. So, because I want to be able to get some of these kids off the streets in Brazil and get some of these orphans and that from these countries like Syria and Palestine and Libya and Yemen and Lebanon and all of that, and Israel, all of it, where these orphans can come and have a safe place that we fund, coming from countries that might not have the money to be able to look after them. So, everything comes back on me. I'm taking care and responsibility for it all. And, I was saying about how those that rise in the new world that have been asked by our gods and ancestors to be the ones to be the trailblazers, to be the ones to show people how it's done in the new world. With me, it's children, healing broken children, and also teaching people the new way, because we're going to go back to the old ways of the old wives' tales and healing with plants and that, because the pharmaceutical industry is only going to be for things like when you need hardcore antibiotics and like when you're having to have operations and stuff. Everyone's going to go back to how it was before, which reminds me of my ghost zombie dream. When Joan of Arc came down in that dream, and she said to me, she kissed my hand, and I was given like a golden key. She asked me if I was upset that who I'd chosen to be my husband had been removed from me, and I said no. She said, did I have trust in her? Because I had the dream with Isis with the golden egg putting the oil on my feet. I'll try and find the dream. My ex is playing up at the moment. It's not letting me retrieve anything. It's my ex is playing up. But she kissed my hands, and when I opened my hands, I had like this golden key or something on a dragon lock, and it was to do with the alchemist cavern. And she said to me, teach the world the truth about witchcraft, because remember, she was executed for witchcraft and heresy. They said she was a witch because she spoke to God, and she wore clothes like a man to hide her identity, and they executed her for being a witch and heresy and all of that. And in the dream, in the ghost zombie dream, and this was at the time when I still thought I was going to America and even thinking about building in Salem. She said, teach everyone. And in the honey of Isis oil dream, where she rubbed the oil from the golden egg on my feet, where Isis did, when I came up out of the pregnant belly of Papatuanuku, and she was saying to me, teach people. And I said, but I'm trying, but everyone's deaf or something. And she said, they're ready to hear it now. And then in the dream, I was opening the alchemist cavern. So this is all relatable, because the alchemist cavern is going to be in the movie, in the Amber Wilkinson School of Alchemy movie. Now, the names might change, but I know Amber's going to be in there. She's going to be seen as like the matron. It's going to, in the movie, there's going to be a big painting of her in the principal's office of, Miss Amber. And everyone in the movie is going to know that she's the reason why the school exists and stuff like that. But the names might change. I just don't know yet because the seed is only just starting to grow. But I know that by the time the movie comes out, so we'll make the Amber Rose animated movie, and then we'll make the Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft, School of Alchemy movie first, the animated movie, and then the live movie. While everything's been built in the background, and then by the time we're ready to open the gates, the alchemist Kevin and her school will be built and already exist. It'll be there. And then people will be able to come and walk around, at the alchemist school. They'll be able to walk around the house from the movie. And it'll be a real functioning one. And because now I'm thinking, because I know the building is going to be like at least 2 stories, I'm wondering whether I should put the Alchemist Cavern store in the house. Have it like the store at the side of the house. So I know the storyline, I know how it's going to go, but one thing I can promise you is that everything in it that is taught will be real. It's going to be a smooth transitional way of teaching children especially, and young people and anyone interested in the movie, and understanding the hierarchical system of the occult world correctly, where everything in it you will either be able to buy in real life from the store, or if you use it, it will work for you. And then basically it's going to turn out that the whole reason why that these 7 bloodlines were brought together is to fight the powers of darkness. Because if you understand about the power of 3, well, the power of 7 is even greater. And it's going to be based on the youngest of every bloodline where there's 7 children. Because, just like the 7 sisters, but it's got nothing to do with the sex. Because I'm the 7th born. And the 7th child is the one that holds the most power. You see? Ta-da! So, all because of one dream. So when I open my store, it'll be real. And it's got nothing to do with J.K. Rowling. If you're into that sort of thing, then mazel tov, more power to you. But when you engage in that sort of thing for real, like with the stuff that Chris sells on eBay, it's going to come back on you, and it'll come back on them tenfold. The universe always holds the teacher responsible for everything that the children learns 10 times worse. Because see, when you put stuff out, it comes back tenfold. Like that's a known fact. What you put out comes back tenfold. So if you do something a little naughty, the consequences are going to be you're going to get your ass kicked in return. Donald Trump being a prime example, Elon Musk being a prime example. They think that they're doing these little things to get at people, and then wonder why they're getting kicked in the stones by the universe. And speaking of which, remember that dream I had the other day where he was Count Trumpula? And I said he came into my backyard, and all those missiles that looked like fingers had encircled him and pointed on him, and like lit him up like where the light was so bright. the night turned into day, that started happening. Japan, China, like all these countries have now started getting the balls to stand up and point the finger at Donald Trump and say, you're a bad person. I thought it was hilarious. So he's out. He's going to be gone. His administrator, like, yeah, I'm just sitting back. I'm minding my own business now, just thinking of what it is I'm going to build first and next and last and Switzerland and all of that. So, and for me, it's going to start with my Amber Rose, with my Roisin Marie. Because people are ready. And people are starting to realise now that the pharmaceutical industry is responsible for killing them. And she was a nurse who was basically like a university professor. She taught medicine at university. So I think it's very fitting, actually, because she loved that side of who we were, but she was too scared to fully embrace it because she had a reputation to uphold in the medical industry. Um, which is typical Aries, eh? She always put others before herself. And I always think if she had have embraced that side of herself, she might still be alive today. So, because it all started with polycystic ovary syndrome, which she could have dealt with. Like it just, the shoulda, woulda, couldas, eh? But anyway, I'm going to turn her life into a legacy that teaches the entire world of the importance of understanding the structure of the occult. And when you understand it, it completely transforms your entire life. You will never suffer or go without or be sad. I mean, obviously, if someone dies, yeah, but even then you understand grief differently. Relationship breakups and that, you'll cry, you'll be sad, but you transmute the energy in a way where, like, you get over it and it doesn't linger because you sit within yourself and you tear everything apart and you look at everything individually, energetically, and then the outcome of it that you form in your mind helps balance out the mental and the emotional side. So then you're not suffering from depression. You're not, dragging your feet around feeling all sorry for yourself and that. You end up just accepting things for what they are, but in a healthy way. Where even if they don't bring you closure, you bring yourself closure because you sit inside the monastery of self and converse with the universe in a way where it's all explained to you so that you can go, okay, right, yeah, I've got it. And if it's because you needed to learn a karmic lesson, you can't go back to the past, just like with spells. That's why we don't write anything in spell books. That's why we don't write stuff down, because you can't go back to the past. And if you do, it drags the future down. It slows everything right down. And the same as with spells and spell books and people that have put spells up on their social media. If someone in 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time finds something that you've put up and uses it, it's like it's rotted, it's rotting. So, like where if they were saying, here's a picture of a flower that I want you to smell, and when you smell it, you're going to receive good luck, and then 5 years later, somebody else finds that post, and they're like, oh, a flower's going to bring me good luck because this pagan witch said it, or whatever, this druid or whatever said it, and then you smell it thinking it's going to bring you good luck or heal whatever or blah, the reality is that flower rotted years ago. Flowers rot. And so you're absorbing death. So something in your life is not going to bring you good luck. It's going to kill something off in your life. See? That's why in my culture we don't wear pearls. We don't have we don't wear anything or have anything in our house that has real pearls in it. Artificial's fine, although I still wouldn't have artificial pearls, because pearls are made from things that are distasteful and toxic and gritty to the oyster. It's taken grit on, and it's so the person that gives you the pearl is basically saying, I don't want a relationship with you anymore, and the relationship will end with gossip and slander and bad words being said to each other and verbal arguments, anything distasteful and toxic and gossipy, so that the energy spreads. That's why in my culture we don't use pearls in anything. We'll use the oyster shells and we'll eat the oysters. Well, I don't. Ugh, I hate seafood. Ugh, in my culture, we eat the worst parts of things, and it's just like, yeah, no thanks. No, 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 no. So, yeah, I'm more Celtic and Pictish in that way. Just give me the potatoes. I'll eat the potatoes and the cabbage. Thank you. So, yeah. So the movie, now I know what the movie's going to be. It's like finally the veil has parted. And I knew when that person put that picture up of the key in the door, and I said my parents were walking me to that portal in the dream I had this morning and the other day, I knew my future was on the other side. I was being shown, this is the direction you're going to go in. This is the direction you've got to go in, and it's this movie. So we need to make the Amber Rose, and we need to make the Amber Wilkinson School of Alchemy. Or I might just call it, I don't know. I need to come up with a better name for it, because, I mean, you got Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, is it called? The Amber Wilkinson. I mean, because like I need to put her name in there, because the world needs to know that she's responsible for redirecting the way people look at their cult. And then when we bring movies out like the Dear Satan Clause, people will understand the truth about who Satan is. And why you don't want to mess with him. And, so yeah. And Lucian's Dragon tells the story of the 7 stages of the ascension process. 7 stages of ascension. So the children that get invited to the Amber Wilkinson will get sent to the Amber Wilkinson School of Witch Alchemy will be from the 7 kingdoms, from the kingdom of elements, the kingdom of realms, the elemental realms. See, so it's all tied in. It's a honeycomb system. So, and I was thinking I might even use Erin, remember little Erin from the Dear Satan Clause. She might be one of the girls that gets invited to the school, because remember, she's a little witch. So, yeah. And we might even have Roisin get invited, because the kids will be, one will be, the actors will have to be from all over the world. So if I was going to have Roisin as from Becoming Spellbound as one of the witches in the movie, as one of the students in the movie, she would have to be an Irish actor, and whoever played Erin would have to be a New Zealand actor. Do you see what I mean? So I'm thinking there's going to have to be, although technically it would be 8, because she's 8, it would have to be 8 elements, so 4 boys and 4 girls. I just need to perfect the name. I got a lot to do when I get to Switzerland, and I'm so excited. It keeps getting better and more refined, and more and more and more and more, and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I always said I wanted to be bigger than Harry Potter. I said that I wanted that my selling point will be that it's Harry Potter but real. So it's exciting. And there would be no better place to do it than Switzerland because of the fact that we're talking about old witchcraft coming from France and Germany and, you know, the Scandinavian world and the Germanic world and the Celt and Pictish and Gaul and all of that. So it's exciting. And then what a legacy to leave Amber, eh? I'll make sure we've got a big, beautiful portrait of her up on the wall at the school, in the house, and in the store. But I'll make sure that I'll get the most beautiful picture of her, but we'll make her look like a alchemist. We'll dress her up. No pointed hats, which is you don't wear pointed hats. So yeah, so I'm just getting a bit emotional. What a way to honour her. Alpha to Omega. She was the one that sat with me when I was learning to find my spread when I was 16. You know, doing my card reading, she would sit on the bed and help me. So it was her and I in it together. Her 21st birthday cake was the Necronomicon. So yeah, so here we go. Stepping into the new. And I love that I get to teach people what I love to teach. I get to do it creatively because I'm going to be teaching people from the age of 1 to 100 in the new world, going back to the beginning. And then I get to honour and rewrite history for, like the Salem witches and the Pendle Hill witches and my blessed patron, St. Joan of Arc. I adore her. Which is what she was saying, teach the truth. Clear our names, clear the names of every man, woman, child and animal and plant and tree that was sacrificed in the name of witchcraft for being accused of things that we weren't guilty of. We're asking you to clear our name. And I said in the dream, I'll do it. I don't care what people are going to say. I don't care what people are going to do. I'll do it because that's why I was locked up. So it's getting me justice as well. And I'll get to make a ton of money from it to put back into the foundation. So there we go. I get, and because like my card readings, like I'm going to be showing people how to do it the right way. So, yeah, oh my God, I'm so excited. So there we go. So anyway, I'm going to go and have my coffee. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō.